Hello and welcome to GSL Middle Division Semifinals. My name is Anthony Malum. I'm going to be joined by Lana today, and Rosie will be taking us through production. And semifinals is where things start to get crazy. Underworld versus Underscore. One of them is moving on to the finals to face the winner of the losers bracket. Lana, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm excited to see some interesting Smite. We've seen a lot of new stuff coming into the meta that's been sneaking through. Speaking of like that Shiva, so I'd like to see some spicy picks. I mean, as long as we all ban Marty, I think it's gonna be a good game.
Pretty simple consensus, and I mean, it's true. Banning Marty is the number one prio in a lot of lists. We've also seen a lot of Kali's in the Bacchus, so a lot of different routes that these teams could go. And with the roster layouts and middle division, that's where you kind of see. I feel like a lot of times meta and comfort is priority, but there's always those sneaky, crazy picks in that high diamond area where someone's like, "No, let me cook on this Scotty," you know.
As a Scotty enjoyer, I would love to see one of these two hunters come out, but
See,
unfortunately, Scotty is so bad. I highly doubt it, but I would love to see it. Interestingly enough, we actually have the Yamoja. Uh, that's gotta be some kind of comfort. I feel like Emoji's fallen down, in my opinion. I don't know. She's
yeah,
not as good
just
as she
want to
used
get
to
rid
be.
of something that is always good, right? Just gotta play
Yeah.
it safe, especially in a semifinal scenario. There isn't exactly room to make any types of mistakes, so you gotta keep things clean. In Underworld, with their first pick, they're gonna lock themselves up the Robin. So a bit of a flex pick here. I feel like we see it most commonly in solo nowadays, and that's a nice start off for a semifinals round to have a Robin in your pocket.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he hasn't got nerfed yet. Um, this next upcoming patch, I think he's gonna be middle of the pack at best. But right now, he's just so easy to execute. I mean, his shield is up so often that it doesn't even matter. Maybe if people pick up erosion or something to reduce the shield damage, that would be really cool. But even then, like, how much do you really need to do on Rov, right? Like, I remember hearing Inbound speak about it, and he said that, if you're getting ran at by like Susano or a Wheelish, you're getting skill diffed. Like they're just that good of a player. But with Rov, you're just getting face rolled. And I thought that was really accurate. Super easy to execute. I'm not mad at these picks.
That is pretty accurate. It's pretty simple too, which is, I mean, a lot of times in higher pressure scenarios, semifinals, best of three, you got to make decisions like that. The Hachiman getting locked in from Underscore means their ADC role has one of the most commonplace picks and strongest picks we've seen. But I'm more interested in this Baba Yaga Sun Wukong because I feel like the three characters that Underworld has, I'm more used to seeing be three bans from a team in phase one.
Yeah, I mean, so the one thing I've noticed lately is Baba Yaga in particular. I feel like yes, she's still the best mage in the game, and it's not even close, but I feel like people when she first really came into the meta, she was very easy for like mid laners to pick up. She was also just very unknown. Like obviously ever since Baba Yaga's release, she's been known as kind of like a buggy character. People didn't want to play her very much. And that kind of caused people to not know how to play against her. Kind of like the Jean Kui symptom. Where you finally face a Jean Kui and you just get rolled by it because you don't know how the matchup goes. People have played Baba enough lately that I think it's okay that she can come through. She has pretty decent counters. Susano being one of them, you can just stick onto her, and as long as you don't get the knockup from the house, it's pretty decent matchup. I think it's totally okay that she's able to come through, but she is tanky, so that's the problem.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough to get through, and so far we're seeing a clear focus. Underworld is really targeting out those support bans, four of them, Marty being the only one not included, and Underscore focusing the ADC rollout. There's going to be no on her, Chibalanke, or Freya. Underscore taking control of that duo lane. And with the support focus, I mean, there's not many options that are quote unquote meta right now on the table.
Yeah. Um, Yeah, that's really
Let's
tough. I
liven
mean,
things up, shall
realistically,
we?
going in, I wonder, that could be Baron support too. That would be really interesting. I would love to see that. I think Baron support is so slept on. Especially having the slow immunity and everything, which Wukong, Brav, Baba, and Ganesh can now provide. Oh, that would be chef's kiss, honestly. Um, so he could be a cool pick. I've seen Kepri come up in the meta a little bit lately. Again, Bacchus would have been a good pick here, but Ganesh just kind of ruins his life. So unfortunately, that's not going to happen in Ishtar. That's depressing. But yeah, I definitely think the Baron should go support here. He has such a good matchup, and basically like all of these characters, kind of just sneaky. And I feel like Baron here just gets rolled if he goes damage. Like he just has to eat all of the Baba Yaga damage, all of her flames in the ult, and Wukong just gets to walk at him for free. So I think this should be the play, but we'll have to see. We do have a lot of the mid laners open still. None of the mages were banned. So Merlin.
It's interesting that Underworld could focus on those 4 supports and be able to control the draft of Underscore the way they did. You would think focusing on one role, you wouldn't have really, put them in such a chokehold, but they were able to do it. And now you're right. It looks like that is the Baron support, and with an Agni being hovered, that's gonna be the early game is going to be really important here for Underscore because those team fights are going to look good for Underworld.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, realistically, for Underscore, their early isn't that great either outside of Kokolin. I mean, Hachi's pretty safe, but I don't think compared to Ishtar, he has not nearly as much kill pressure, in my opinion. I think the Baron will help out with that in the laning phase, but it's not guaranteed by any means. Susano, stereotypically has an incredible late game, so he's not going to be doing much fighting early on. And Agni, in my opinion, the only disappointing thing with Agni right now is that his level 2 clear when they're fighting in the mid pressure is pretty depressing. He doesn't do any damage. And smart Agnis will go their dash first to clear level 1 with the solo laner. So you don't have any range CC, which is one of the best parts of Agni. So yeah, I think this actually might be kind of tough for Underscore to be able to get into this late game because we have lane bullies all around for Underworld here.
Yeah, and if you're gonna have problems in the laning phase, and then when you get late game, you're against a nasty team fight, that means you're gonna have to play guerrilla warfare, play smart, and play to not put yourself in bad positions where Underworld can get the ball rolling, because this is, I would say, more the snowball composition. So it's going to be tough, but overall, on paper, between the two teams, who are you favoring so far?
I like Underworld's draft just a little bit better. I think they probably got everything they wanted. Outside of maybe Ishtar, but like Ishtar is certainly never a bad pick. I can't believe she didn't get banned. But on her and she did. I mean, not that those two picks are bad at all right now. But I feel like Ishtar just brings such a good presence. So we'll have to see how it goes. I mean, good start though for Underworld. I want to point this out. Baba got the red potion. I could sit here for 10 minutes, by the way, chucking these out for the first minute trying to get the red potion. Doesn't happen. I always get like the slow, and I'm like, okay, that's helpful for clear.
So Freyr definitely has some better RNG than you, but we're in game. We're ready to go. Semifinals, Underworld versus Underscore. It's gonna be a battle of likely set. Watch for that laning phase and watch to see if Underscore can stop Underworld from getting the snowball rolling. If things do get rolling, it's gonna be a tough one for Underscore to come back from. But we talked about that laning phase, Lana, and as we get into it, tell me what you're looking for out of the laning phase. You mentioned how the Agni has to play safe in the mid lane with that Sasano. What are some things you expect to see come out of that laning phase?
Well, I'm definitely expecting a lot of pressure coming out of Underworld. The nice part about Baba is she can do those stacking potions, and obviously we can see Freyr here already starting with one of his potions. By the time you get to the mid lane, it's pretty common that you're almost at both of your potions again, so you almost just insta-clear the wave, and Rob has such good wave pressure. It doesn't matter. I think it'll be decent for Underscore because good Susano will move that wave. So Aggi's just able to clear very safely. But I wouldn't like to see very much fighting coming out of Underscore because they just lose overall. Aggie has just no pressure in the first few levels. Once he hits level 3, then we can see some fighting, but otherwise I don't want to see much, honestly. Underscore will really just want to play safe here. They outscale anyway. It's totally fine.
Underscore coming to lane, pretty unhealthy, but okay so far. In mid lane, Underscore did get pressured out as well, so that came to fruition. This laning phase, your first semifinal set, always a bit of a nerve-wracking time. Playoffs are always tough in general, but especially in semifinals, I mean, at this point, waiting losers bracket, they got a long time to go, so they're trying to make the most of it. Blakey in a bit of trouble in the mid lane, below half health, but East not exactly in a kill spot, so Blakey will get out for the time being.
Yeah, I'm really not surprised. You can see they're really struggling to clear this wave, hence why Underworld is able to take the priority onto those left mids. Looks like Rob isn't actually going to rotate either. I've seen that a lot coming out. There we go, now he's coming. Going for that shield buff, whichever jungler gets the left mids gets pressure on the buff, and the right jungler almost consistently does go and gank the solo lane. Unfortunately, it is Wukong, so there's no way there's no way Susano is actually going to be able to kill here. Wukong with his beautiful escape all the time. So safe. I hate that character. I'm so glad he's getting
the
nerfed.
transformations are really tough to deal with. I mean, realistically, Alfie can kind of just vibe in lane and know that they're safe. Freyr in a bit of trouble, gets pulled in by Mirandus, and now taking insane damage, but does get one juke off, and that one juke might matter a lot looking back. So that's an escape for Freyr, but that's going to be a bit of a problem for the Baba Yaga getting forced out of lane at this point. It's going to give so much pressure over to Blakey and that Agni, and Agni is no fun to lane against as is. So no pressure in solo. It ended up going to the mid lane.
Yeah, again, I'm also not surprised.
East looking for Knob, blinks past him, and the root's gonna miss. Mirandus was lurking. Now Mirandus gonna step in lane after Alfie. East turns back forward, stun hits as well. Falling down low, we're looking at the first blood. The Ox does get off, but the landing from Crab will find the first blood for Underscore, if you couldn't hear it, by the taunts.
I know that's really that was so sloppy coming out of Underworld. There is no reason that East needed to gank onto Crab here, because realistically Wukong has no mana in that situation. We saw that's why he wasn't able to use his transformation to be able to escape there. And it just puts him in a really awkward spot because, yeah, even if you kill, you should know that the jungler is lurking anyway. So it's just a hard game. It's not something that you typically want to take. I think they forced it a little too much, in my opinion. Just knowing he doesn't have mana, and because it put them in such an awkward spot, we saw Elfie just have to try and peel for his jungler, and that's what caused the first blood more than anything.
On the back of it, we did see an Underscore invade as well, so now East pressure stepping behind. We'll see if the gank in duo goes better than the gank in solo. So far, it certainly is. And the Hachiman's gonna hit the grayscale. East will pick up that kill. Underworld bringing the score to 1-1 with a much cleaner gank in duo. I'm sure you're happy to see that.
Yeah, that was way better. Like by eons. Clearly, there was no wards coming out of Underscore at that point. Hachi, not level 5, did not have access to the ult. I mean, he's a sitting duck, honestly. He was already about half health. I am very surprised they stepped up so much. I guess they weren't expecting a high rotation coming out of East. It looks like he's just going for his speed now, actually. So he knew. He had a mission. He came out of base and he knew he was going for that dual lane. So props to him on that for the map awareness. I mean, yeah, I don't know. That is, again, that's also very sloppy, in my opinion.
You talked
But
yourself out of it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just messy all over the place. Even then, it looks like Kachi does still have pressure because he's Hunters right now. That sounds about right. Yeah, hate to see it. Something I needed to talk about though, and I've seen it ever since we looked at it. We see this new tablet thing coming out. We see it on Agni, we don't see it on Baba. Tablet was really common the first month of season 10. Definitely fell off with a bunch of the nerfs. But a lot of the mid laners right now, especially ones that can proc easy, I would like to say Mickey damage. Tiamat, Merlin, Agni, and of course, very similar to first meta in season 10. Very similar.
Alfie running down Mirandus behind the blue buff as all of Underworld is just living in Underscore's jungle like it's their own on the right side. But they're a bit split now, and there are rotations coming out. We see the Blakey is around as well. So it's enough for Underworld to start to take a back step away. Mirandus was able to survive despite taking insane damage. And that's something we're seeing a lot from Underworld, is a real emphasis on that pressure.
Yeah, 100%. And going back to what I was mentioning before, it's also very common for the mid laners to, instead of having Book of Thoth, some mid laners are opting for it, most aren't. It just takes too long to stack. We've also seen breastplates come in, and I think this would be so nice for Agni here. You're against Wukong, Rob, and Ishtar ult, so I would be more than okay with breastplate, get the cooldown. And realistically, we're in a tank meta, right? Let's, might as well all play in the tank meta. So having some kind of defense just kind of just works that way.
Yeah, I respect it. I like the idea of playing to what you need to do. A lot of trouble for the Ishtar duo. Blades of Retribution come out, but it's not going to be enough to get away, as Mirandus was just in too good of a spot to take out Morg there. But it looks like Underworld doesn't want to let it go for free, as a step up from the Ganesh leads to a Typhoon in response, which will back them away, but the Ganesh gets pulled back in and then pulled some more, and Kupo will be dropped by Mirandus. Now East will do the best maneuver and head east and get away from that fight. I kind of wish that Underworld had committed in a different way. I almost wish the Ishtar had gotten a little more aggressive, gotten damage out, but either way from that fight from Underworld, you either have to hard commit or not commit at all, but the in-between there, I think, is where a lot of that trouble came from.
Yeah, I agree. Dual Lane is definitely having a bit of difficulty knowing what fights they want to take. We saw it with, like you mentioned, the Ishtar. Also, ran away but didn't pop the relic as well, or the charge as well. So that's something to know. I think they might actually be able to get away. That was a beautiful Ishtar ult, but definitely not enough to actually, you know, obviously live.
Yeah.
However, yeah, and we saw the same with Ganesh as well. Kupo Clouds, the classic Baron thing where you just wait around in that poor support. Very similar almost to like a temporary or Kraken. It's the same idea here, where I'm not gonna be surprised if Kupo has to eat so many of these ults. Starting now essentially.
Very aggressive pathing and paying for it so far. Mirandus goes aggressive. That's gonna force Prayer into Home Sweet Home to try to create distance for Kupo to get away. It does work out, but that will be Home Sweet Home down in the mid lane. So Underworld's 3v3 a little weaker for the time being. And which is interesting because we were both watching the same map, and it looked like Underworld had much better positioning before that fight happened.
Yeah, I think the main problem was that Kupo's really trying to get in here, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. I think that's really great on Ganesh. However, he is taking a lot of free for that. And I don't think, especially, I think that was a big miscommunication in the mid lane too. Kupo was very obviously out at that point. You know, Susano has his tornado on him, but besides that, Susano's not killing a Ganesh with basically he almost had an entire Gauntlet of Deep stacks at this point. So there's no way that he was going to live there. And then Freyr obviously wanting to peel for his support, not realizing how tanky he is, just goes into the Baba Yaga ult, into the Home Sweet Home, and yeah, I like the idea of wanting to peel for your support, but definitely, I definitely think all of Underworld right now is just struggling to know how much damage they can do and how much damage they can take.
Yeah, they don't look super comfortable, I think, is what I'm noticing. Kupo forced out of mid lane again.
The way that's all. No shot that's up again. No
I know, watching it probably almost feels worse than playing against it. We also see Mirandus lurking in the dual lane just in case Morg steps up, and Morg is going to step up in that dual lane, and Mirandus will step over, and the gank will be clean and easy. Morg will hit the grayscale.
This is a ward diff. Can we look at the wards? Yeah. Yeah. That sounds about right, actually. I'm not surprised. Look at the wards all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, Underworld is struggling here. I mean, East was able to get a good rotation early, but to be fair, I'm gonna give it to the dual lane of Underscore early because they hadn't backed yet for any wards or anything. At level 4 when Hachi was ganked. Now there is no excuse. There is absolutely no excuse not to support him at this point. Especially Morg, who is being playing pretty aggressive into the Hachi, which I absolutely love, but knowing that the Susano's there and he can easily run you down, that we definitely need more ward coverage. And we got one underneath, so that's good, but we also got to remember that Susano papped high for that last gank, so.
Beacon is up and Underworld is in the ring, and they're getting it quickly. Underscore cannot look to contest right now, despite the lead, which at 12 minutes currently 1-4. Underscore with the 4 and with a 2,000 gold lead, which is where a lot of that vision is coming from, because they have that extra money in pocket to get those wards. The wealth is very spread around the map, and that's going to be tough for Underworld to climb their way out of. As we were talking about that laning phase and how late game we expect Underworld's fight to be crazy, but they got to get there first, and damage like that from Morg will certainly help, but they're going to need more.
Yeah, 100%. Looks like they are going to go for this right?
Underworld able to step away, but Morg is very disconnected from the fight, which is problems for Freyr, who's forced into that home sweet home as Mirandus chases deep. But Kupo was around the corner enough for Freyr to be safe. Underscore with 4 members near gold Fury. We haven't seen the objective yet, so we could look to see them get aggressive for it. Typhoon comes out, and Blaze Retribution is used from Morg to try to get away. Mirandus gets pulled in, and the damage is good. A sidestep from Morg, but all the dancing won't matter because the kill will come from Sasuke. Morg hits the grave, and Underscore now with 5 kills. They're not going to go for a gold Fury, so still no objectives, but they're establishing that pressure across the entire map. The map state is full red right now.
The Underworld backliners are absolutely terrified of Susano, and they have genuinely no reason to be, by the way. We see Freyr going into this Warlock stack. In my opinion, at this state right now, you beat Susano. Yes, Susano is 3-0, so that's something to keep in mind. He doesn't have Soul Eater fully stacked. He isn't able to get the auto cancels off yet because he's going into it, but he hasn't finished his build yet for that. Oh, that's
Kupo against the world there. Dropped Dark Pillars just for good measure, but Kino will ultimately get the kill. So at least for Kupo, it goes to the support on the side of Underscore. But again, we see Kupo, you pointed this out very early in the game, playing so aggressively and just trying to make something out of nothing and look for any opportunity to create fights for Underworld, but it's really having the opposite effect in an unintended way.
Yeah, well, and especially there, that's extra difficult. Your your mid laner doesn't have their ult. I think it was just coming up at that point. So you can't deal with damage. Baba Yaga going into the stacks, not fully stacked yet. Taking a pretty slow build actually. Freyr on this Baba Yaga, which I, get free stacks from the house, so I'm certainly not going to complain. It's fine. But yeah, again, they're not fully aware of how much damage they can do, how much damage they can take, and it's really starting to hurt them.
See if East coming around the back can help this time, and it's working well so far, but the chase with Mystic Rush wasn't good on the mounted archery, so Hachiman will get away. Underworld will drop the Dermot Pillars to try to get a trap in, but they couldn't find it. Now they will retreat, but East was behind. Not enough to be in major damage, and we see Kupo dashing in again in left lane, just causing trouble with the support, but with Mirandus a bit low, maybe Underworld, what I'm starting to see is maybe they're just not comfortable. It looks like the comms are a bit off, but it's not going to stop them from pulling this Gold Fury. 16 minutes, and we finally see a Gold Fury getting pulled. Mirandus is lurking, able to contest, but has to get through Freyr. Maybe Kino will be the one to contest. Gold Fury is down below, half health. Underscore is on the way. They're looking close. It's at quarter. It's at 10. And now they're going to be in the ring. Typhoon comes out, and it does force Underworld off the Gold Fury. It's been reset. And now Underscore have the advantage and chase out Underworld. And now they're postured up to look good for the Gold Fury. And now they're going to get aggressive. Underworld does catch out Crab, but they're not able to do fantastic damage just quite. So both teams kind of in a standstill stalemate. Anyone looking for an opportunity could be Alfie, goes around the back, gets a stun out, but now caught between everybody and forced to use that Somersault Cloud. East with poke as well. These two teams got to back away at this point.
Yeah, they're just fighting for absolutely nothing. At this rate, they're going to actually get the gold. Now they're just fighting for Beacon. That's going to be up in a minute. So I guess that's
Crab trying to get out though, Lana. I don't see a world where they go aggressive. I'm just kidding. Apparently East goes in aggressive, but each ability hit a different person, which left room for Underscore to walk away. So Underworld still chasing the fight to force them out. Now Mirandus comes back in with a reinitiated, finds two, and now the damage is good from Underscore. Underworld stayed too long. Typhoon's gonna knock up two, and that could be two more dropped. Sasuke with a double kill, and Underworld just stayed for so long. I mean, in what world could Underscore have not taken advantage of that? That was a very interesting fight for semifinals, certainly. But just before 18 minutes, the first objective of the game will go to Underscore. They had to fight for it, but they did it.
Yeah, that was interesting. We see it getting started up. Was it started up by Underworld, right?
Yeah, they started it up for so long, and there was two members lurking for what felt like the longest time. I mean, it got to a point where you even said, I mean, do they actually contest here? Because they were watching for so long, but Underworld kind of let it happen, and then it turned into a ridiculous, I don't know what to call it, like a chicken race? Like, I don't know what that was around the Gold Fury. And then I think the oddest thing for me was the late initiate that came from East, kind of diving past everybody. And I said it, but it was true. Every ability hit a different person. I mean, Alana, what was Underworld looking for? Were they truly just trying to set up the Gold Fury that whole time?
I think, honestly, they started seeing red halfway through. Shout out to Shady Drake, by the way.
That's real.
Yeah, but they definitely started seeing red, especially East. And this has been a thing with Underworld this whole game, really. Like, besides them not knowing how much damage they're doing or taking, their front line is so much different from their back line. And I say this as a backliner that really does like to play really safe. Has kind of been my thing for a really long time, and I see the exact same way with Freyr and Morg, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we can tell that East and Kupo and Alfie have very different plans, and because there hasn't been any clear, like, all working together, that's what really cost these fights.
Underscore definitely definitely going in together here. Found so much damage on East, and Crab is diving all the way for, but is forced away before he can pick up the kill. So Underscore won't find the pick onto East that they may have thought was clear and easy, but that is a member down now for Underworld, and Pyromancer could be the next thing on the menu with the big grouping in mid. And we know Kupo is going to go aggressive. We've seen that constantly. The ADCs are also working their way up from the lower left, and they're going to run into each other with a 1v1 with Pyro gets started. Pyro's down, half health, Kupo lurking, and the rest of Underworld actually went left to chase out the Hachiman. Underscore will get the Pyromancer, and they might get Kupo on the back end of it. Only East is there to contest. Typhoon comes out, gets the knock up. Mirandus just needs one more clean bit of damage, and will find it with the reset on Kupo. So Underscore get the Pyro, and they get Kupo. And by the way, Underworld still chasing the Hachiman. Didn't get him. Now they're backing, and East will fight Underscore alone and have to escape. And Blakey will clean up East. This is absurd. Alfie now stuck between 4 members of Underscore in the mid lane. They're just walking out of one at a time. Alfie could be in trouble as well. Rainfire certainly finding a clean home, and Mirandus was lurking and waiting. Alfie will be able to escape, but Underworld with a massive misstep, chasing out the Hachiman, not even getting the Hachiman, and Pyromancer goes to Underscore.
I have literally no idea why they chased Hachi. Like, I would like to provide you, like, their thought process, but I genuinely don't know. Maybe they were assuming gold was going to be up sooner than it was. Maybe they got their timers wrong or something, so they thought maybe if you kill Sasuke, you can pressure gold. Well, Underscore gets the Pyromancer, but like I'm so confused. There is literally no reason. There is literally no reason you chase Hachi there. Like even if you kill him, you still lose the Pyro, so that's not like a fair trade. I mean, I guess Sasuke's 2 levels up, but like I think he's only a level up at that point. And Underworld split so many waves with Morg trying to kill him that it put him further down anyway. So you just get a double negative there.
Blink through from East on the Oni. Fury could actually will find Kino. That might be the cleanest we've seen Underworld play so far, but the back end's not looking quite as clean. Miranda's gonna find a Rampage after knocking up and dropping East, and now Underscore saw their opportunity, and they're gonna chase it out. Oni Fury could be on the back end of this, but they're right now seeing red, as Lena said before, but this time it's Underscore. Underworld has the health bars though, and Underscore playing a bit too aggressive. Now Freyr's gonna get caught out, but Blakey couldn't find the damage either. Mirandus backing in the face of Wukong, gets away. Dive from Crab, looking for Freyr in the tier 2 tower, taking on 3 people alone, just looking for the Baba Yaga, and will pay for it. So Underscore not throwing away the lead, certainly, but playing insanely aggressive and confident. And that lead is at 4,500. We're 23 minutes in. It's 3-12. And the last 2 fights were the best Underworld has looked, but it's still not perfect. But, and Lana, you can certainly dive deeper on this. If Underscore keeps making those mistakes, there is a world where Underworld can get back in.
Yeah, 100%. Realistically, I can't blame Kino for dying, pulling the gold. That's the support lifestyle there. The fact that that was his first death in Baron, by the way, is disgusting. How? Every time I play Baron support, I just get pulled into the ground. But yeah, there was no reason for Crab to die there, and you don't need analysis to tell you that.
Alfie's getting blown up, couldn't even get into Somersault Cloud before Mirandus got the credit, and by the way, Underscore got the Oni Fury too, so that gold lead we're talking about, skyrocketing even higher, 3-13 right now, and we're knocking on the door of 6K. So plays like that, I mean, you got to go aggressive, certainly, but now you've opened up the door for a beacon for Underscore, and when the Titans start marching for this next fight, I mean, we talked about, it's funny, in the beginning we talked about guerrilla warfare from Underscore, but I feel like now that's where Underworld is. They've got to play that way. East could get caught out. Does have Mystic Rush. Already used it. Typhoon will not find the knockup. We'll see how far Underscore chases this. We know
What a
Underworld
beautiful
likes the
MVD.
chase, certainly.
That was a beautiful
The
MVD.
blink,
Oh, and the
too?
blink.
Oh, that's
East is in their
disgusting.
heads. East is in their heads.
In their
Yeah, you
heads
can
and
see the
breaking
backing.
mentals, gets away.
You can see the backing animation. That's like that's basically like taunting and competitive right there.
I know
It
taunting
really
has been
is.
Crab's thing.
That's true. But like most of the time, if you're not allowed to taunt, you do the backing animation.
Underscore
That's
picks up Pyromancer. Crab playing aggressive though, Lana. I thought, you know what I thought we were gonna see again? I thought we were gonna see Crab take the 1v3. We've just
oh
seen it so
jeez.
many times this game. I was expecting to see it again. But instead, Crab gonna pick up the bomb and head safely to the rest of Underscore. And now with the Titans marching down, Lana, we're at 25 minutes. Pretty close game state in terms of the last couple fights. When you look at really that short microscope of hey, Underscore's making some mistakes, but when you zoom out, things are looking considerably more rough. What are you looking at this Titan fight?
I mean, I've always said it. 6K isn't. It's not good. Like I'll tell you that. But like it's not horrible. Like it's only like a T2 on, or maybe like one item max on like one of your backliners or something. It's not horrible by any means. We actually see Blakey here pretty much ahead of his build a little bit, but like not that much. Like really just has the upgrader or the starter, and that's what's really gonna hurt them. But it's nothing that they can't fight into yet. But if they keep defending this so much, they might have to. I might have to rethink my thoughts here.
East tried to go around the side, but gonna get blown up from Blakey. That's what the upgrader will do for you right there. It takes East off the map. Underscore now looking at the tier 2 tower. Their Titan will just now be driven back. Miranda's from around side with Typhoon, but doesn't find incredible damage. The follow-up will be what's needed from Underscore, and that was good, and Kupo is gone. Now Underscore knocking at the door of the Phoenix, but with the health bars where they're at, they're going to take a step back, perhaps set up for our first Fire Giant, and Underworld still find themselves on the defense.
That was just really not smart again. And again, we can literally see the backline decision making versus the front line. There's
They're gonna
no
get in the
reason
pit.
they need to defend. But this
Alfie
actually might be a
looking
really good
for
fight.
it. Oh, Lana, I don't know if I like this call as much as you. Alfie already forced the somersault cloud, but wait, they're so low on the landing.
Yeah.
Alfie gonna look for it to be aggressive. Crab gonna run into Alfie though and find it. Moore did clean up one. Hachiman's gone. Miranda's though gonna find an unstoppable off of Alfie. Now Underworld are able to stop the Fire Giant, which is gigantic, but they've got to clean up more than that if they want to get it themselves. They're going to force Underscore back completely, so maybe not a fire, but they've kept Underscore off of it, and they're fighting their way back in. Moore going to get caught, and badly so. Uses everything effectively, but it's just not enough between 4 people. That's a huge loss right there for Underworld. They clawed their way back in. Without their ADC, I don't like their chances as much, Lana.
I want to say you said they used all their stuff perfectly. I disagree. I think that was a Zap Band Aegis. You know you're dead there. Come on. There's no way you're turning
I
that.
still respect the tech. I mean, maybe you get a pick off it, but you have a pause coming out though, so it will be a minute before we continue through. And we're 20 minutes in, 28 minutes in so far, Lana, and I mean, there's some shining stars coming out from Underscore, but Underworld they're putting up a fight in this latter half, but I feel like a lot of it is the cleanliness that we've seen in these team fights. It definitely feels like 5 agendas on the side of Underworld as opposed to a
Yes.
team goal.
Yes. Yeah, and that's been the story this whole game. We see Elfie, we see um basically just the whole entire front line, in my opinion. Completely diving all the time. Like even on that tier 2, there's no reason we need to be flanking at a tier 2 when they have Titan and there is a 6K lead. Like I said, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But then it just again it opens it up for the Fire Giant. Like I like that they're willing to fight, but I think they need to just hold off a little bit more. Just play a little more back. Like it's not that big a deal. Even right now, it's not enhanced yet for the fire giant. You can even give this up if you needed to. And just get your farm and get to level 20. Get your items on
Yeah.
because you in my opinion, they don't outscale better, but they have a better team fight. If we have a good Dharmic pillars, if
Yeah,
we
if they have a
have
team
a
fight, right?
yeah, exactly, but they're not team fighting. That's the problem. Um, so yeah, that's definitely a problem. However, Underscore is not playing it fantastic either. I think they're a little more cohesive, I'll admit, but we've seen it a couple times where they're just trying to ego the enemy
Yeah.
players at this point.
Yeah,
We've seen it
they
a
had
couple
such a clean
times.
mindset for the
Yeah.
first 15, but since then
hmm
it's been different story.
Yeah, and they're allowed to get away with it a little bit right now because they have the lead. If they didn't, it wouldn't exist. So they're really just using their ego and their pressure right now to kind of run over Underworld, and it's costing them a couple like really key kills. Like we saw it with Crab over at the tier 2. There's no reason there. We just saw it here on the Fire Giant. Um, I don't think Underscore was expecting Underworld to actually contest that well. But in my
Yeah.
opinion, they should have. They were like almost all a quarter health. So
I think a big problem is when you, for at least for me, when you're in a semifinal set, especially when you're not in the losers bracket. So your next game is you're in the finals, or your
Mhm,
next, excuse me, your next set win. So ga- game one isn't the end all be all. You know there's still at least one more game to play, but that first advantage is so important because that game two was always more comfortable for the team that won.
mhm.
And I feel like if you're going to play with that kind of ego style in your face, we're playing well, we're gonna dive you at in your throne room. I feel like if you're gonna get that mentality, that should have been a week four type of thing, not so much a semifinals where I almost kind of feel like in semifinals your goal should almost be speed running, like everything out the window. What can we do to play the game simply and kill the Titan?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you 100%. I feel like the spiciness should come out in the finals because that's all the stuff in your back pocket. You don't want to show too much till you get to the finals. You just want to, yeah, like you said, speed run. I think that's a really great idea. Just try and finish the games as clean, as quick as possible. But honestly, this has just been an arena match. I
Yeah,
love
especially
casting
that one
arena.
Gold Fury.
Yeah, you were talking for like 5 minutes. I was like, I don't really know how to cut you off, Anthony, but you're having fun. I'll let you be. But yeah, it Underworld just being on a completely different page. I think honestly, if they just play back a little bit, they play a little safer. Um, Not even just safer, but just smarter. I feel like their comms are totally all over the place, and if they're not, then clearly people aren't listening to the comms. I've heard that as a that's a pretty common thing too, that I've seen a lot. But yeah, the split decision making is completely costed them this early game, and while I definitely think they can get to this late game, it's they're definitely not in a good spot right now. I would like to see them contest this fire because it will be an EG pretty much right away. I highly doubt someone pulls it right off the rip here. You might as well just wait, but I don't know.
Yeah,
It
we're fresh out of pause. 29 minutes. Fire Giant being started 4-17. Underscore certainly with the advantage, but they got to keep the advantage. They got to keep the pressure on. They've already started fire, so they're not waiting for EFG quite yet, but they are going to let it go now, and they're still going to play that posture up defense. So it looks like they're going to take your call, and they're going to wait for EFG. So Underworld has an opening, and they're finding it through Mirandus, but they don't quite pick him up. We'll see how much they
oh
commit to running him down because Kupo is being focused out from Underscore and going to get dropped. So now Underworld's really split. East is taking on the World. Mystic Rush lands onto Blakey. Morg did find Crab. Blakey able to get away from East so far, and Underworld is so split if they group up. They've got all the kills here. Now they're going to group up, and they're going to find Kino. Underworld dropped 2. They do lose their support, but they poked out Blakey, so EFG will now be on the table. Enough time was bought. Pyro gets picked up by Underworld. 30 minutes, 6-18 is your score, and Lana, Underworld are there. Look at the charts. They're
listening to the cast.
they're peaking up. They're on their way up. We did see them split again, sure, but it was still better, and it looks like somebody did finally say, "Hey, let's group up."
Yeah, and it was, even if they were somewhat split up, it was in their favor too. Like, realistically, we saw first it started off with Susano getting completely poked out. Susano late game, shocker, really. He can do a lot of damage, but he also just takes a lot of damage. Has no defense, so that definitely makes it tough. Where Brav, at least he can use his immunity, cleanse a lot of the damage. So they lose the fight off of that, but then they decide, because Underworld didn't even use that much to go after Susano there, but I feel like Underscore thought they did, and that's why they engaged so hard. Kupo just gets completely ran at by Sasuke, and I really think they just lose that fight because Sasuke kind of goes in on the dive as well. We see that a lot on Hachi, so I'm not against it. Wait. Oh, that was
Life at the party is forced out here from Underscore. That could be an opening
tool.
here for Underworld.
That's a big tool
to dive in. I mean,
yeah,
it's 31 minutes, so it is EFG, and Underscore is really postured up, and you've got that ultimate down. Once you have more here, I'm not against the idea of finally playing the way you've been playing the whole time. You got relics online. Go aggressive, go crazy, send East in.
Yeah, 100%. And Sasuke, like, the main thing you want to do, especially in top, is have your mid laner and your ADC together with the support in the back. And we saw Baron and Agni together. However, Sasuke went in to go for Kupo, so...
East just got completely deleted by Blakey and Mirandus. Went aggressive, but went aggressive without the rest of Underworld, and now with the jungler gone, Underscore gonna posture up and push up on Underworld. Crab not diving 3 this time, staying back, but still took a lot of poke. Now they're gonna step back, and this is gonna be tough for Underworld to contest this.
Yeah, that was bad as well too. Wasn't able to find anyone. Even if he did, it wasn't gonna do either. So
Alfie going aggressive to the side. Yeah, it's keeping Blakey off of the EFG. The Fire Giant's down to 9k. Somersault Cloud used as well. It looks like Underscore is going to 50-50. Blakey still being chased out by Alfie, but Life at the Party is back up just in time. Fire Giant let go of Underscore very low from the Fire Giant. Tsuke will find the kill onto Alfie. Miranda's still barely alive, does get away and through to safety, so Underscore have to drop the fire. But they get picks through that, and everyone survives.
I mean, yes, but honestly, shout out to Alfie there. He genuinely made a hero there.
Yeah, without Alfie, that goes Underscore 100%.
No, it's not even close. Like, Morg didn't have their ult. Kupo didn't have their ult. They were really just trying to wait on a steal potential. And honestly, shout out to Wukong. That's disgusting. Love that he's like pretty much full defense here and is able to one-shot Agni. Love to see it.
Yeah. Fun and interactive for the Agni,
yeah,
certainly.
Yeah, 100%. Even with defense, by the way, he's got defense.
Yeah, it did go with that breastplate you were talking about earlier.
And Glad Shield. That's one thing I want to clear. Breastplate, Glad Shield right now, that's the play. This is the meta build for...
This is the meta play from Underscore.
Yeah.
On
Kupo
EFG, below half health. Kupo is also below half health. They're hard committing to this EFG, and Underworld may have underestimated the time it took, and Underscore will get the EFG, but Morg cleans up Mirandus, and the rest of Underscore is very poked out. So we're gonna have another split fight. It's gonna be a 3-on-1 versus Crab, but East is clean in house with the 2 as they chase down the 2 remaining members of Underscore on this side. Crab is running the other 3 around, and East is still going crazy. Life of the Party brought him in, but it was brought him in for too long, and Blakey will clean up East on the slam. Kino still alive. Somersault Cloud used. The rest of Underworld here. Crab cleaned up Kupo. Alfie gets dropped by Blakey. So Underscore still in, but barely. They've got 2 members barely alive. They've got it back. Underworld, if they hadn't lost the 2, we'd be looking at a different game. But, I mean, we talked about the lead. We talked about the dominance. We talked about the lack of coordination. But Underworld has made Underscore look like a different team for the last 5 minutes. basically since we came back from pause, it feels like Underscore can't get away with anything.
I'm telling you, they're listening to the gas here. But honestly, yeah, you're 100% right here. I think that Underworld here is playing a lot cleaner. Yes, they didn't get the EMG, but if you're stripping it off of the hunter, like in Hachimon, that's fine. It's not that big a deal. The only people that have it right now is Crab and Kino. I think like he should have had that, but he, again, it's the ego, and he wants to go in and get the kill onto Wukong, and that's what causes his death
Yeah,
as well.
I definitely think it should have been east and then walk
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, but like that's fine. I see where he's coming from. I can't even fault him for it. Didn't know, in my opinion, that Underworld was coming. You could tell he's very caught off guard. But yeah, like I've said this for a really long time. I don't care if you 50-50 with Fire Giant and you don't get it, as long as you win the fight afterwards. You can tell that Underscore was not prepared to take that fight, and that's what just really caused them to lose right off the bat. Susanoo's been having a really hard time actually getting into these fights. Now that, you know, it's team fight time, you can't just pick people off. It's not nearly as fun.
Yeah.
Not nearly as easy either. And he has such a rough matchup into Ganesh too, so as long as Kupo just stays on him, he doesn't get to play the game. So
You know, I almost wish he would stay back and kind of wait for East to dive in. But right now, 5 people are sprinting at Mirandus. But on the right side of the map, there's 4 in solo, and they're pushing up, so Mirandus can run them around long enough. That's going to be a tier 2 in solo. 1 back, now 2, 3 backs coming out from Underworld for the respawn. Underscore going to go for the Phoenix as Mirandus runs them down the dual lane. The rest of Underworld now fully backing. They have to commit to the defense because they've already lost a Phoenix. Underscore completely steal a Phoenix away from Underworld just because Mirandus was the red herring. Underworld had no clue what was going on there, and Underscore played it perfect.
No shot he gets out there. I'm angry.
He gets out and they get a Phoenix.
Yeah, like what? That makes no sense. Also, why did no one back earlier? Like at this point, like
it looked like they were calling off the backs for a second because we saw the Ganesh, the Sung Wukong, and I believe the Baba Yaga all start backing at the same time, and they just changed their mind. We do have another pause coming out, so we'll have a bit of time to talk about what we saw. And Mirandus being the sacrificial lamb there was one thing, and that play was great. But the fact he doesn't die, that's
yeah.
such a victory for Underscore.
Yeah, he's got the juke boots on because there's no way that he should be able to get out there at all. Once we've seen he is completely dead. I'm not sure. Did anyone use any of the ultimates on him? Maybe that's why they
I
thought they
wonder
could
if
kill
they
him
were
without
also
any lockdown.
Yeah, I wonder if it's that, and maybe they considered there was a Robin ult for it. Maybe they considered a base race. I mean, maybe that was one of the things that comes like, oh, can we beat them at this? But it was a 4
Even then,
versus a
though,
5, but they
yeah.
had 2 EFGs, so maybe that's why they didn't commit. But maybe there was a split call. I'm trying to think of any scenario where that back was so delayed. I mean, I'm not sure if just a Ganesh and a Sun Wukong could have stopped it anyway. It would have needed to be an entire team back there. But I mean, it's a complicated call, but really, I think we're even looking too much at what happened, not right before. 5 people sprinting at one person in the duo lane. As soon as that showed up, I guess that was the go point for
Oh,
Underscore.
of course. Yeah, 100%. As soon as you see, like you don't even need to like see it. As soon as Mirandus is like, "Oh, there's someone on me," and then you can see him turn around for a half sec. "Oh, there's the whole team here." Yeah, you just get a free Phoenix. It doesn't matter really how fast they back. Like I mentioned, I'm surprised no one backed for it, but realistically, they had bomb. I saw them use that. They don't defend that anyway. It's too late. I'm very surprised that they were playing so far up. I guess they weren't expecting Underscore to actually siege a Phoenix. So really just good map awareness out of them, if anything. I really think because they went for that tier 2, and as soon as Miranda's actually got like gone on essentially. He probably just called for the Phoenix because everyone's there. You can shred it so fast it doesn't matter anyway. You have a Hachiman, even though he doesn't have EFG, he has his whole build. So as long as you have a tank just standing there, it's gonna be completely fine. I mean, yeah, that was just really good game sense out of them.
So we've navigated into a really complicated game, Lana, because we were looking at team fight of Underworld, early game laning phase. Both of those things haven't mattered. We come out of the pause. We're just before 38 minutes. It's 9-22, and gold leads 5,300. On paper, that's a completely different game than we've seen. Beginning was dominated by Underscore. Midway, we saw them get a bit ego and go crazy. Then latter half, we saw Underworld play fantastic and take advantage of Underscore mistakes. Most recently, we've seen Underworld make a big mistake, and it cost them their solo lane Phoenix. So where do we go from here? What are the big things you're keeping an eye out for?
Well, I definitely think it's more than possible for Underworld to defend this Phoenix. It is going to be enhanced, so they kind of just need to. And also, realistically, Underscore got the least valuable Phoenix. It's pretty easy for any member of Underworld to actually just go over and clear those waves, as long as they don't get caught out. I'd like to see a ward right by that solo lane, the intersection between solo lane and cooldown buff. Yeah, that's a good word too that you're putting out. I think that would be really valuable, so no one just gets caught out. But it's definitely more than possible that they could actually contend this Phoenix and very much win.
East uses Mystic Rush. We almost saw a reverse Miranda's there as 5 people were walking that way, but Underscore not going to fully take the bait, and they forced out Raven ult. Now Underscore arriving at EFG with not all of Underworld there. This has turned into a really awkward dance. It looks like both teams should be able to reset, but room for chaos certainly. Mirandus and East both in the mid lane, trading kind of just trading cooldowns, no damage quite yet, and we're still going to do that fire giant dance for a minute. Oh, there's the opening. Rainfire damage was good. Crab goes in, finds a knockup. Underscore back up because they're waiting for life at the party to bring in Kupo, and Kupo is gone. There was a 4-man stun for the Blades of Retribution, so the damage is there in Underscore, but Underworld have to focus on retreating. Mounted Archery comes out, and look who landed deep. It's Alfie. Has to use that Somersault Cloud, trying to buy time for Freyr or Lord to get back in, but there's just no clean opening with where they are in the map. Now Alfie poked out too, and Underscore have bought themselves space, but they're not quite healthy enough to go for a fire giant, delaying the game further. I mean, not the cleanest we've ever seen, but it could have been worse. And Hachiman? Oh no.
No way, Sauce 2, please don't.
Ooh, no screenshots needed here, but Pyromancer will go to Underscore.
Oh, I actually like the idea of
Underworld gets the steal because of Alfie showing up right from under the noses of Underscore. Just when you thought it was clear and pretty, Alfie is there in defiance. Does have to get away though, that's part of it. Will get away to the safety of the other team members of Underworld. I mean, that's a big pyro for the bomb in my mind. I mean, that bomb is gigantic to have in pocket for Underworld here.
Yeah, 100% here. If they win a fight now, they really just get a free Phoenix. And it just makes it a lot easier for sure. One thing I want to mention is that Ishtar ult, by the way, going into that last fight. Shout out to Morg. Has had a couple interesting Ishtar ults, but that one genuinely, like, they didn't win the fight. Kupo still got absolutely destroyed by the Baron ultimate with the life of the party. Not feeling party-ish after that, honestly. Poor guy's been actually just getting Baron ulted on CD, and there's nothing he can do about it.
Yeah, he just has to kind of sit back and take
it. It sucks. It's like support just Krakens in the early game. It's giving me the same vibes here. You're just fresh meat. But honestly, that allowed a 4-man Ishtar ult into a Baba potion. That was so nice. I genuinely think Underscore, if that doesn't happen between those two backliners on Underworld, they don't pull that off. I genuinely think this game might have been over. Because it provides so much utility for Baba recast there.
Kupo got really poked out below half health. That's been the go button for Underscore in a lot of these fights. Now Alfie poked out too, so that's both frontliners poked out from Underworld. We do have another pause coming up, but we're gonna
Pause Fiesta.
Yeah, we're gonna be prepared for the land down from this somersault cloud. As you can see, is mid action. Interesting animation when it's paused. Certainly, Underscore in this fight when we come back. They realistically, to me, have such a good spot. They've got both the frontliners poked out. They've got Alfie forced into Somersault Cloud already. This is their fight to lose, but we do have the opening of Underworld walking an Underscore, so they're kind of on a timer, and they got to make the choice of waiting and hard committing for the landing of Alfie, or turning on the rest of Underworld and leaving their back door open, essentially.
Yeah, I could see where you're coming from there 100%. I think right now the best play would be, like you mentioned, turning. Because Alfie, he can sit there as long as he wants, and at this point you're just wasting time. Because obviously both the frontliners are going to have pretty decent regen with HP 5, and they're going to be full health very soon. But if we just have another classic pull onto Kupo here, then they're down a whole other support again. I think they definitely should rush over, because now once Wukong he's in his ult, what is he gonna do? He'll be able to blink in and do a little damage eventually, but he doesn't have the safety anymore. And at this rate, in my opinion, he doesn't have the kill potential. The only one he could possibly kill maybe is Sasuke, because he has no defense, but he'll never kill Agni, which ideally would have been his main target had he not built defense. Yeah, so they're in a perfect spot, honestly. If I was Kupo, honestly, I think I would just back at this point. As a support, your main utility is your health bar and just being able to tank things. And now that he has half health, he can't do any of that. He's a sitting duck, so he might as well just allow something to die.
We get right back into it. Kupo, very low life at the party, comes out, and Blakey's going to find the kill onto Ganesh. The rest of Underscore, though, in a lot of trouble as Hachiman's poked out, and Alfie's going to run it down for it. Crab does clean up the Sun Wukong, so there's openings here. Mirandus will not die yet, just dies, but double kill from Crab. East dives aggressive, and he's gone! The combat pause ends, and 4 people die from Underworld. It's just Freyr left alive. The best news for Underworld is nobody in Underscore was healthy enough for EFG. No deicide either, but only 1 member up for Underworld for the next 38 seconds for the next person. That is not ideal.
No. We saw that fight go wrong.
Freyr could be in trouble, but yeah, he's in a lot of trouble. Crab is doing soul laner things, but Baba Yaga could get away.
Wait, he goes for his buff. Okay.
Goes for the red buff in the face of Crab and gets away with it. That was
pathetic close diff. That's a pathetic close diff right there. And I mean, to be fair, I don't think he meant to make Freyr back there. I think that. But I'm gonna give it to him and say that's probably because his team was starting with Fire Giant, right? That's right. I'll give it to him.
Yeah, totally.
I don't think that's what it was, but oh well.
Totally.
That last fight just went so bad for Underworld because, like I said, Kupo immediately got shut down by Life of the Party. Again, this poor guy's not allowed to play the game. You can see him pick up a badge ice. I don't blame him. That sucks.
Not at all.
This is the worst kind of feeling game as a support, knowing that you will be dying on cooldown and there's nothing you can do. But he kind of put himself in his own spot there. He went and tried to save Alfie there. I think at that point, Alfie is a lost cause. See if he can get out, but otherwise, there's not much you can do because now he just baited his own life and they both died for it. And while I really do think that Freyr and Morg put on a pretty good, impressive performance, actually trying to peel off the front line from Underscore, I think the main thing here is that East had to dive all alone onto 3 people, and when you're diving onto Blake, who has 2 defense items, can't believe he has 2 defense items in top damage. I love to see it.
All of us snuggling on that rock, by the way, and nothing came of it.
Yeah, I think they were waiting for someone, obviously, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah, they have. I'm pretty sure they know. They're very aware.
All right, 45 minutes, 10 to 27, Underworld. That last combat pause has led to a much better position for Underscore than we've seen in a while. Underworld was really getting the better of them up until that point, it felt like. But now they're on the defense. They've got their dual lane being pushed in now, going to be an easy tier 2 tower for Underworld. If you're Underscore, I mean, what's the play for defense here? I mean, you've got East pushed up.
Yeah, I definitely think I'm very surprised, in my opinion, that we're not having like 5. Like it's a 5v5 over in this lane.
Watch East.
It's like East wants to rotate back. I hate this.
I don't
hate
like this call either. That's such
Yeah.
a deep flank.
Yeah, and they have a ward on him. No.
Yep. So now East is going to be incredibly forced back. Going to come back. He's going to walk over that ward again. So watch for Underscore's response. They're going to know where East is. They could posture up. They could fall back. Miranda's falling back as East goes in, but East gets outplayed by the dash from the Hachiman, and now Underworld is forced into a really awkward fight, but they're making it work. They're poking out Crab. The Typhoon did great damage to Morik, but the advantage of where they are is they're so close to their base. Now Underscore step into the Phoenix room. They've got damage on the Phoenix. The bombs drop out too. They're going to get the dual lane Phoenix. The good Phoenix goes the way of red. And Underworld don't quite pay for the awkwardness, but man, was there potential, and I am completely against and tired of seeing these deep flanks.
Yeah, that was absolutely terrifying. No other assassin, by the way, gets out except for Rob.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
Yeah, like any other assassin dies there, like as soon as they turn on him. I also don't think he knew that they warded him and that they knew he was there.
Yeah, and even when they turned around and started walking, he's still committed.
Yeah. I think the main problem there is, like, even though they lost that Phoenix, it was EFG, so I'm really not surprised they actually lost that Phoenix. As long as they allow Elfie to just clear these waves, he has the upgraded teleport, he'll be able to rotate into fights pretty easily. They can still definitely contest this next EFG, and I definitely think they should. Blakey doing a lot of damage on the Agni, but still doesn't have, like, it's secure, of course, but it's not the best. Oh, East is so good.
East is in a lot of trouble, has to use the beads last second as well. Like the party used, but for beads of East, Underscore will take it. And reminder, as we're coming up in 50 minutes, this is still game 1. Miranda shows up against a 2-man pull, and it's a big one at that. Typhoon gets a knock up as well. So East and Freyr are both low. Underscore trying to step up, and Miranda's is getting poked out, almost deleted, but the shell was perfect timing, and Underscore will get Miranda's out of there again. Miranda's has had so many escape cards played from Underscore, it's not even funny.
I mean, to be fair, he dies there if Mork doesn't choke the auto. The shell came in afterwards, but he did miss that last auto. That probably would have took him out. Unfortunate. But I mean, the fact they were all able to get out after that horrible initiation off East. Sorry, East. I'm sorry. It was not fun. And I also put Freyr in an awkward position because Freyr now had to peel for East and went into his own Baba Yaga ult, so that's definitely not ideal. So the fact they're able to survive like a 2-man Susano ult onto the backline and were able to return that much damage is pretty decent, honestly.
We've seen this again. East going to come from the East. EFG down to half health. He's set up for it. Freyr is at the bottom of the same area. Miranda's going to catch out East, but Miranda's is taking a lot of damage and has to go for the escape. Life at the party was used but didn't catch. Underscore get the EFG, but Blakey gets picked off from Freyr. Crab could follow, and this is a problem. Now East dives in, and it was the perfect time. Finally a good time to dive in, but goes for the ADC, and that leaves Kino a bit safe. Now they're going to aggress on the support. Miranda's comes back into the fight, and 5 members are strong. Miranda's will go in aggressive and pay for it. More drops Miranda's. 1 left, and they've got tier 2 towers to go through, so they won't be able to chase down the Hachiman, but Underworld have so long. 50 seconds of a 5 versus 1. The health bars aren't great, but they certainly can do it. The Phoenix is on the menu, and the Phoenix is going to get dropped. Are they going to go for the end? Surely they go for the end. They've got 30 seconds against one member, but they're still so low.
They
So the
want
defense
to.
potential here is really scary.
They want to. I don't think they should.
They got to get
Personally,
tier 2s as well.
yeah, that's the problem. If they had no tier 2s, if it was just Phoenix's up, that's fine. I'm surprised they didn't go for more T2s at least. Okay. That's kind of weird.
I don't know about everyone backing there to defend. I mean,
weird.
that kind of kills a bit of that momentum they just gained. I mean, they get the pyro and they can go get Oni, but the tier 2s, now you have to, I mean, you're not going to have the tier 2s contest, sure, but now you have to still go walk to the tier 2s, and now you're going to be contested Phoenixes. You've got this is a really questionable call. I mean, the end call not being done, I can agree with, because I mean, if there was any situation for an ADC to have their hero moment and get a pentakill at the Titan, that was the moment. So I like the call. I mean, Hachiman probably does kill everybody there if it's played even kind of well. And if it's anything other than like he has to play perfect, then I say, yeah, don't go for it.
Yeah, 100%.
But now you've got this awkward after fact of all right, well, we didn't get fire off of it. Their ADC still has fire. They're going to get the Oni, but they're in a bad spot and the after fact now. East will get a pick on Mirandus in the mid lane, but it's this left fight that's really important. Alfie forcing a Somersault Cloud. East still going aggressive, going to get the land down onto the ADC, and now with no Hachiman, maybe the opening just walked right up to them, I guess. Underworld now going to dive the tier 2 tower. Looking for Crab. Kupo tanking. Crab going to get dropped from Freyr. Double kill for the Baba Yaga. Now Underworld just has their opening hand delivered to them, Lana.
Yeah, I'm so confused. I'm not surprised that East keeps soloing Mirandus because Rob is just a better character right now, and also you can immune the Susanna ult. So there's no
Underworld. They're stepping into the throne room and they're doing it quick. They've got Oni minions on the way. It's going to be a 2v5 defense, but there's just no chance for Underworld with an insane comeback and a hand-delivered end. Take game 1.
Okay.
That was the most. I mean, they put a bow on that ending. If you're Underscore, I mean, that was the most. That was just the most hand delivered. I can't get over it. That was basically. I mean, that was an F6 with extra steps.
Totally was. Yeah, they completely threw. Like, and it wasn't even close. There's no reason Mirandus needs to be trying to solo East on cooldown. I don't know if East is engaging, maybe he is, but you're Susanoo, you have a lot of mobility, you can just leave. Clearly he took the fight, at least, if anything. So they're basically fighting a 4v5 this entire time in the late game. And that obviously hurts them. Susanoo all actually can one-shot backliners in the late game. So you're missing like your huge burst utility damage that can come along with Agni. So despite Blakey doing 61k, didn't matter.
I mean, that hurts. That hurts. Because here's the thing, like there's worlds and there's times where mistakes like that happen, and I'll always be the first one to kind of talk up they did their best type of arc. But I mean, this is semifinals and you threw the game at an Oni Fury, so it's really hard to look past that. Kupo with the 40 wards certainly doing their part, but across the board, before we get into game number 2, Lana, tell me what you see looking at the post-game stats.
What I'm understanding is that mid laners are too tanky with Baba Yaga and Blake going. Why are they mitigating so much? That's gross. But despite that, I definitely think this game makes sense the way it ended. Let's be real. Underworld had such a better late game team fight. Crab being Kokolin just falls right off, and you could see it. He was really struggling in the late game, was absolutely just getting two shot by Ishtar. So you kind of can't play the game, where at least with Wukong, you're
Right.
able to get at a dodge, you can go in the somersault cloud, like, it it's a lot easier utility-wise, so I'm really not surprised that their dive just wasn't as strong at the end of the day. I mean, Ishtar Baba, I play a lot of comp, and me and my favorite ADC right now, this is our go-to right here because you're so tanky and you're able to self-peel for yourself so much, but you're also the best kinda dive together. Ishtar Baba is so disgusting, so it all makes sense, it's all coming together. I'm just hoping Underworld can clean up that early game so, you know, they can keep it up.
It's gonna be that's gonna be a tough one to come back from underscore, but that was a very long game one, and we've got potentially two more games left here in the semifinals of GSL. And with that, we'll be right back with game number two. Don't go anywhere. I'm sure it'll be another exciting one.
In our universe, we are all alone. In our lonely hearts, we search for a way back home.